Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Thursday night show. In case you missed it, we got a lot of crazy things to talk about. First of all, the Tuesday night show was a short one, but I thought a good one. We allowed some of the viewers to come on and talk, and I thought they both, we only had two, but I thought they both represented themselves and the whole viewing community well. So I left with a real positive feeling about that. And so we could talk about that if you want to. Also, I know this isn't a sports channel, but we also had some Cowboys news. They elected to keep Mike McCarthy, which I think is a shock to everyone. And so we can always talk about that if y'all want to. I know a couple of y'all want to talk about that for sure. And then I've gone through some pretty crazy weather the last 2 days. I'll tell you about that as the show progresses. We've got a brand new channel member that just came across my screen. Let's welcome them, and then we'll talk about all the rest of the channel members. Brand new channel member Armando Perez became a member. I appreciate you doing that, sir. Thank you for being here. We're fixing to roll over and talk about all the channel members, but thank you for doing that. Lately, I've been pretty sparse on the members only content. I'm working on improving that. By the way, members, those of you that are here, if you've got anything that you'd like me to do a members only video about, maybe you wonder something I do on the truck or how I take care of something on the truck. It's hard to do because sometimes I do a video and I'm like, man, everybody really needs to see that. So end up showing it to everybody. But if you think of something that'd be a great video just for members, let me know and I'll try to get that cut for you guys and gals. All right, we've got, believe we've got, well, I'm going to have to refresh it now. Give me just a second. All right, it's not going to put the latest on there, but I'll make sure and hit it. Starting with the very first original channel member, we've got Ramon here, Robbie Ross, Corey Oatley, Midlife Trucker, Red Raider Reloading, Randy's Road Life, KC, a trucker named Tim, Smaller Hauler, Oaser DM, Roger Berry, RGB, Brian Walton, Mark Ely, 18 Wheeler, Jordan B, Tracy H, H-Man, Davenport Family, Josh Burton, Asphalt Jungle, Shane Lee, Grafton, Daniel N, PT Bullet Boy Gaming. I need to talk to him about what type of systems he games on and stuff. We've got Scorpion Trucker, Truckers Education, and Ohioan Trucker. And then, as I mentioned a minute ago, the most latest to join that is Armando Perez. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, look right below your screen. There's a join button. Click on that, and it'll tell you how to do that. It's about $5 a month. It really helps the channel out. And as we progress, I'm going to get better about putting content out. You get mentioned in all the videos. You get a cool little thing beside your name that changes over time the longer you're a member. And I really appreciate it. I do. I also appreciate the rest of you for being here as well. Let's jump in and say hi to the very first one that was here today. That would be Jordan B, saying hey to everyone. Then next we had Roger Berry. Says, I'm something driving, but listening since I made it out of Love's parking lot. Man, it's amazing to see how many truck drivers it takes to screw up a parking lot. Yeah, and again, I blame trainers for this. I remember this was all the way back in '96. I remember my trainer telling me when we pulled into a parking spot at a truck stop, he'd say, when you park, look around and see if you're blocking anybody else, if you're going to make it hard to get out. And he said, one reason is, they might run into you leaving. They might back into you. They might cut their turn a little sharp. He said, another reason is you don't want to be woke up in the middle of the night and asked to move so somebody could get out. He said, if you see them sitting in their truck, walk up to them and asks them, hey, are you going to be here a while? I was planning on, taking my break here. They might say, hey, I'm leaving in 15 minutes. And you can say, hey, well, when you leave, can I have your spot? Will you holler at me when you're leaving so I can get your spot? In other words, they're going to appreciate you being thoughtful and courteous. But right now in trucking, we've got a lot of me first, me first. I'm going to take care of myself and screw everybody else. And that's why you have these screwed up parking lots and things like that. And that message, by the way, came from Roger Berry, channel member. Next, let's move on to a trucker named Tim, channel member also, says he is here. We're going to have this a lot tonight because of the weather, and I'll talk about my weather experience here in a little bit. David Wilson says driving but listening. I'm sure a lot of you are driving right now. Just be careful. It's still bad out there, and I don't care how good of a driver you are on snow and ice, somebody can always slide into you. When weather's like this, there's no such thing as too much following distance or having too much safe space around you. I don't like that word, safe space. Let's call it having a safe cushion around you. Just be careful. Take your time. It's better to go too slow than have an accident going too fast and hurt yourself or somebody else. And that's my lecture for the day. Channel member Robbie Ross. Hello, friends from Petro in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. 7 a.m. delivery in the snow. Woohoo! Hope they come to work at the receiver. Yeah, that's a concern. Where I'm at, I'm in Montrose, Colorado. I can deliver anytime in the morning between 5 a.m. and noon. So I'll probably sleep, get up about 7 or 8 in the morning and grab a little breakfast, and then I'll run over there and do that deal. I didn't book another load out of here yet because, quite frankly, I didn't know if I was going to get here today and be able to unload in the morning. And they're not open on the weekend, so if I couldn't unload in the morning, it's going to be Monday. And I didn't want to spend the weekend in Montrose, Colorado for sure. All right, let's see here. Gary Cook's listening again tonight from home. Well, I'm glad you're here, sir. I appreciate it. Let's see here. We got another Gary Cook message. He says, anyone traveling from Lake Station, Indiana to Kalamazoo, Michigan, they are expecting lake effect snow. Use caution if driving along Interstate 94. Yeah, that's great information to have out there. Also, I'd add to that, if you're going west of Denver, Vail Pass and I-70, basically from about exit 234 all the way across Vail Pass is pretty bad, especially at night. Might be a good idea to find a place to park. I actually talked with a Colorado DOT, not the officer that does inspections, but the road maintenance people, and he said he wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have the chain law on all weekend. They're expecting a lot of snow. I think they got another 3 to 6 inches today. So make sure you're checking the weather with the internet and cell phones now. There's no reason not to, and just be aware of what you're getting yourself into. I know everybody knows they're supposed to have chains if you're running out west, but how about having bungee straps and the other things you need as well? I know you think you've got those things, but it might not be a bad idea if you get a load running out that way to just kind of do a quick inventory and make sure that you've got warm gloves, a heavy jacket, extra blankets, things like that. A couple of days worth of canned goods you can keep under your bunk or whatever in case you get stuck somewhere and need those type of things. Maybe a couple of gallons of water, things like that. Again, this is not a safety video. I'm not going to lecture y'all all night on safety, but I want all of you, we're kind of forming a camaraderie here, a friendship here, and I want all of you to make it back safely. All righty. Here's another one. Brian Kiefer. I'll be listening from my home in North Carolina. I'm on home time. Well, I appreciate y'all doing that. I really appreciate it when y'all take the time to listen while you're at home. I realize that some of the most valuable time that we all have is when we're at home because we're away from home so much that you really don't want to think about trucking. You want to be with your family, and I appreciate those of you that still find a way to squeeze me into your schedule. I used to have a guy before his health went down that him and his wife would sit down and they'd put my videos up on their TV and they'd watch them as a family, and they would binge watch them on the weekend because he couldn't usually watch them live. And when I hear stories like that, I really appreciate it. I never thought this was going to happen, and I appreciate the time that y'all commit to me each week. And Josh McLean is here. I'm glad you're here, sir. Let me scoot up a little. Hey, I was just thinking about this next guy. Channel member Mark Ely is here. He says, "What's up, everyone? Hadn't seen him in a couple of weeks. I'm glad he's back and doing well. Good to see you again, sir." CJ Hudson, howdy, howdy, hey, hey. I like that. Howdy, howdy, hey, hey. Hope you're doing well tonight, sir. So somebody wants to know where John Toohey's been lately. That came from Roger Berry, who's a channel member. He's been popping in here. He's been most of the time he's been driving, and so he just has to listen while he drives, and he can't comment. Sometimes if something comes across that he feels like he needs to comment on, he'll find a safe place to pull over, and he'll shoot a message real quick. But he's still doing good. I talked to him, I believe, yesterday. I left him a voicemail today, and he's doing good. But GP Transco is keeping him busy. He's running the wheels off that truck, so he's doing good. And Alaska Hall is here today. Says, "Hello, Todd. Hey, sir. Thank you for being here." Armando Perez, who's our newest channel member, says, "I wonder if you live so close to Odessa, why are you not doing fracking instead of OTR dry van?" Um, really, there's several reasons for it. For one, they work ridiculous hours. Ridiculous hours. Two, it's a lot more dangerous. They tend to hire drivers with not as much experience. Um, just the danger level. There is some money there, but you're going to work a lot of hours for it. Being an owner operator doesn't make sense doing it, in my opinion, because a lot of the jobs, it's really hard on the equipment going down the dirt roads and all the places they have to go. And so it's just, there's two jobs that I've never really considered doing. And y'all can love it or hate it or think what you think, but I've never wanted to be a roofer for a lot of obvious reasons, and I've never wanted to work in the oil field. Another thing with the oil field is they go in cycles, and I guess trucking does too, but the thing about oil field workers is when times are good, they'll go out and buy these huge houses and these big jacked up four-wheel drive trucks and jet skis and boats and all of that. And then when the market comes down, they're selling that stuff for pennies on the dollar. So also living in Odessa, the cost of living there is ridiculous. And you know, I've got grandkids and family, and I'm at that age where I don't really want to work 100 hours a week. And I know it seems like working OTR that I'd be gone a lot, but I'm really not. I was going home every other day there for a couple of weeks or so, and some days I was home for several days. So I still got by. You know, the most embarrassing question I get asked is, "How often do you go home?" And the truth is, I go home whenever I want to, and I stay as long as I want to. But I have to put an asterisk next to that because, you know, it's at a cost. And this truck stop I'm parked at right now closed at 5 o'clock today. It's at a cost. I've seen probably a dozen cars pull up that would have bought stuff if that place had been open. And same thing. While I value my home time, I value my time with my kids and grandkids. There's a cost associated with that. There's loads that I missed, and the bill collectors don't say, well, you was home for, 8 days this month, so we're going to lower your bills this month. They still expect all their money. So I've got to get out here and work. And I just, I kind of took the long way around answering your question. But yeah, maybe I should do a video about why I don't do oil field, but it'd be like the Landstar stuff. Every time I say why I don't work at Landstar, I just end up ticking a lot of people off. And let's see here. Red Raider Reloading says fracking work is not steady. I've seen my people leave for the oil field, but they end up coming back. That was channel member Red Raider Reloading. Yeah, and to add to that, he just made a great point. I used to work for a company that was subcontracted to the company that Red Raider Reloading works at. And we'd have the same thing. When the oil field took off, everybody'd run off to the oil field. And then a couple of months later, they'd want to come back, or a year later, they'd want to come back. It has real high peaks and valleys. And OTR is a little more consistent. And some of you are going to come on here and tell me, well, rates are not real consistent in OTR right now. And I would say to you, it depends where you're at and what you're doing. My last two loads, this one and the previous one, were both right around $4 a mile, almost to the penny. So I'm still making money out here. I'm still doing good. But I do have to work for it. I do have to scratch and claw for every load. Sometimes I spend 3 or 4 hours negotiating. Sometimes I'll tell a broker, hey, I can't do that. I'll call you back in a few hours, see if you got more flexibility. And they're like, okay. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. But I've been doing really good here lately. Now, are they heavier loads? Sometimes, usually, yeah. But in the winter and the crap I drove through today, that's okay too. So let's talk about that. I'm going to remove this comment so that y'all can see my website if y'all want to go check that out. So I got to a large beverage distributor, and it wasn't alcoholic. Let me say it this way: a large non-alcoholic beverage distributor in Denver, Colorado. They said that it was an 8 to 3 open appointment. I could show up anytime between 8 and 3 and get loaded. I didn't even get the load till like 8:30 or 9. So I had a couple hours drive to get there. I got there. They checked me in. They said, hey, we're backed up because of the weather. It's going to be a few hours. We don't have any parking on the street because of an event that's happening across the street. We'll need you to go to the truck stop, and we'll call you when we're ready for you. Well, fast forward a little bit. 9 hours I was there before I got loaded. I left at almost exactly 9 hours there. So I'm working with the broker currently to try to get detention. Brokers drag their feet on detention. Sometimes it can take weeks, and sometimes it's not worth it just because you can't get paid on the load till you get everything finalized on there. So I've got some more paperwork I've got to do regarding that tonight, and then at some point I'll make a decision if it's worth waiting for the detention or just doing without it. But anyway, because of that delay, I ended up leaving there in the evening. And as you know, when the sun goes down, temperatures drop. And on I-70, when temperatures drop, things turn to ice. And so I had to stop and get diesel. First place I went was Wheat Ridge at the TA. They only had 4 pumps working, and they said they were pumping slow. I sat there for 20 minutes and still couldn't get diesel. So I went up to exit 234 and got diesel there at Dooleyville, or whatever that truck stop town is called, or truck stop is called in that town. And as I'm getting fuel, and this happens a lot, a driver recognized me. He come over, he started talking to me. He said, "You're not going west, are you, Trucker Todd?" I said, "Well, matter of fact, I am." And he said, "Man, it's nasty over there. They got the chain law on." Well, it's no problem. I got my socks, I said. And also, I've only got a few hours left on my logs today. I'll probably just find a place to park and call it a night. Well, I get putting along, and that storm must have been moving or something. About 5 or 6 miles down the road from where that truck stop is, it started. And so I pulled into the chain up area, and there was a bunch of trucks that just parked there for the night. And I hopped out, and I was going to be a good truck driver and put my socks on. And I got my socks out, got back there, and my fenders that I got on my truck that go over my drive tires, um, there's no way to put the socks on while they're on there. So I decided, well, it's cold here. I'm going to get back in the truck. I'll wait till morning when it's warmer. I'll get out there. I'll remove these fenders and I'll put my socks on. So I get back in the truck. I go to bed. I get up the next morning, probably about 8 or so. It's still pretty bad out there. I decide I'm going to wait till about noon. About that time, Colorado DOT pulls up. He says, hey, we're backing up out on the street. We need you guys to chain up and move or turn around and go back to town. I said, all right, I'll go ahead and finish chaining up. So I got out, and on those fenders, it's got 2 Allen bolts on each side of the wheel. So for a total of 4 on each side. I undid the Allen bolts, and I started trying to wiggle the fender off of the pole that it mounts on. And it stuck and wouldn't come off. So I got my hammer and started tapping on it and got it wiggled. I got about an inch from the end, and it stopped. It wasn't going nowhere. And then I had a problem. I couldn't get it to go back on or come off. And so I ended up putting it back on, going to the truck stop back where I just got diesel the night before, and fiddled with it some more, got it to where it would work. And then I went over 70 and got across there. And now I'm in Montrose, Colorado, and the weather's fine here. I'm actually running the air conditioner on the APU right now, but I do think it's still cold here, like 30 degrees outside or something. So hope I don't have a fever or something from being out in the cold. But what surprised me is when I was having trouble with those fenders, I made some calls to try to find a roadside service that maybe had a torch or maybe had some type of neat way of pulling those things off. I kind of wonder if you couldn't use like a pulley puller or something, that has the 3 little hooks, and it hooks to the back of the pulley, and then it has a deal in the middle that pushed. I kind of wonder if you couldn't do it with something like that. So I was going to see if I could get one of these roadside guys to help me. And they said, Todd, we've got, and I called probably a dozen places. We've got so many guys that don't know how to put chains on their truck that we can't come to you. We're going to be chaining up trucks all day. And I finally found one guy that said he could do it in 5 hours. And I was like, nah, I can't wait that long. So I just got out there and fought with it, and I got her done. But when I get back to Lubbock, I'm taking those fenders off until after chaining season, then I'll put them on. I really like them because they cut down on the mud and stuff that it throws up on your truck and trailer, and they look nice on there. The disadvantage to them is it's a little harder to inspect your tires, which might be a good thing if you're pulling through a scale. And then if you got to chain up, there's just no chance. Now, there was only about 30 miles or so where I actually needed my socks. So, normally I wouldn't have done it since this load was already late from the shipper taking so long. That's why I went ahead and did it. But normally I would have just called the broker and said, well, I'm going to park until the roads get better. And so I made a decision. It ended up being the 3rd time I've used the socks. And so they've worked great. And I'm glad I've got them. They don't take up a lot of space. They're lightweight. They're a little lighter or a little more expensive than chains, but you don't have to have a holder or nothing on the outside of your truck. You can just throw them under your bunk. But anyway, I got a little long-winded there. Let's jump into another comment. Try to get caught up. Channel member Red Raider Reloading says he'll have to catch the replays unloading in Odessa, Texas, the armpit of hell. I actually liked going to the Odessa stores on the rare occasions I got to do it when I worked for that other company. You just never know what you're going to see down there. One time I was there and I had some dog food, and the forklift driver took the dog food and put it on one of the shelves that was way up high in the back, and birds had got in there and they were eating the dog food while he was unloading me. And just you would see all kinds of stuff like that. So usually I would do like an Odessa store, and then I'd go to New Mexico or something like that. Armando Perez, channel member, I'm considering leaving fracking for that very reason. Sometimes it's really good, but sometimes not so good. Also, lack of sleep is a killer. Yeah, that's another consideration. I'm on a CPAP machine that actually records how much I sleep and when I sleep, and I have to turn in a printed report when I do my DOT physical. And so, oil field would be real hard to make a DOT physical examiner be okay with. But man, it's funny, and maybe my situation's different. If I had small kids at home, then what I'm doing's not good. But what I'm doing now works great for my situation. All the kids are out of the house. It's just me and the wife. I got grandkids. I got kids. When I pop in to see them, they're glad to see me because I'm not easily accessible. And when I'm on the road, I got interesting stories to tell. And so, for my stage in life where I'm at, what I'm doing is perfect. A lot of people are like, why don't you get off the road? And it's like, because I like what I'm doing. And the second I stop liking what I'm doing, then I'll go do something else. But I think all of trucking has its highs and lows, and none of it is super consistent, but I would say it's consistent enough that I have a pretty good life. Now, uh, sometimes it's slim and I'm going with my last penny or calling a relative and saying, can I borrow 50 bucks? But most of the time I'm okay. I'm the one doing the loaning. So that's good. And, it helps to have a great truck. And I do have a great truck. And so, yeah, I enjoy what I'm doing. Red Raider reloading, channel member, glad you made it out of Val Pass safe. Yeah, me too. I have a lot, maybe too much confidence driving on snow and ice. When I was at Dart, I did a substantial amount of it. And so I got really good at it, in my opinion, out of necessity. I think as far as being a truck driver, winter driving is one of my strong suits. But like I said earlier in the video, the problem's not, can I keep it on the road? The problem is somebody else going to slide into me, especially if I'm on a little 2-lane road. If they hit you, it could ricochet you off the side of a mountain. And that's the one thing that's really hard to defend against. And David Wilson is bragging. He says, no weather worries on 15 headed to Sacramento. Well, good deal, man. That's nice to hear. At least some of us are in good weather. We got another weather report from CJ Hudson. Kentucky, close to West Virginia, getting a bit of snow right now. 61 days till spring, y'all. Yeah, so that's what's weird. At Christmas, the weather was kind of mild, and then now here we are, mid-January, and all the crap comes now. Gary Cook says, "Have you ever had to chain up?" Oh yeah, yeah. I had to do it a couple of times when I was at Swift. The first time from '96 to 2001. I've done the tire socks a total of 3 times now recently. Granted, 2 of them were really just for video purposes. I would have parked if I wasn't needing to make a video about the chains. So yeah, I will chain up, but my philosophy, my theory is if it's too slick to walk on, it's too slick to drive on. Now, sometimes, there's always an exception to every rule. One time I got stuck over at Wolf Creek Pass and they threw the chain law on and there wasn't no place to park. So I had to go. So I put the socks on and I used it as an opportunity to make a video. And so but it's a rarity. I'm not one of these guys that's going to chain up every week. And really, unless you're on a dedicated thing or something, you should be able to watch the weather reports and kind of predict where to be and not to be. Of course, there's always going to be surprises and things, but you should be able to kind of steer clear of a lot of it, drive around some of it. Now, it's been hard the last 2 weeks because it pretty much blanketed the country. Oh boy, I feel like an idiot. Trucker named Tim, channel member, says Mr. Tui is on home time. I believe you're right, sir. I think he told me that yesterday, and I had just forgot. I've had a lot on my plate, and when he told me, I was dealing with that warehouse, trying to get the load and all that, so I'd forgot all about that. But you are correct. He's at home, and when he's at home, his cell phone signal is terrible. He'll tell you that himself. He does have Wi-Fi there, and he can do Wi-Fi calling sometimes, but it's pretty spotty, he says. And this is all his own admissions. This isn't me trashing his cell phone service or his Wi-Fi or nothing like that. He has in the past, just tell you how bad it is there. In the past, he has gave me his home number and said, "Hey, call me on my home number." Mark Ely says he was in Mexico building his retirement home. He was off 24 days. Rates are ticking up. Saw some $5 per mile freight out of Kentucky. That's channel member Mark Ely. Yeah, that is good, man. That's better than I'm getting. I'm finding some high threes and low fours. Anthony Fisher's no empties or doubles in a tomorrow starting at 3 a.m. Oh, man. I'd be asleep right now if I had to be up that early. And my good friend Ramon is here. Glad you made it in, sir. Ah, so what Anthony Fisher meant was there's no empties or doubles in PA tomorrow starting at 3 a.m. Yeah, I'd heard that they put some highway restrictions in over there, but I heard it was starting at midnight. So I don't know if you got somewhere to be, you may want to be there before all those restrictions come in. Big difference in the Midwest snow versus East Coast snow, in my opinion. Yes, sir. That's a great point that channel member Mark Ely is making. And you'll hear him describe it as a wet snow and a dry snow. And for somebody with not a lot of snow experience, you think, well, what's the difference? Snow is snow. But there actually is a difference. The wet snow will turn to ice really quick. The dry snow is more powdery. And so, yeah, you're right. There is a big difference. And it can even vary a little bit from snowstorm to snowstorm. David Edwards says, howdy, y'all. Howdy, David Edwards. And I don't believe it. We're caught up on the comments. Channel member Ramon, good weather here in Macon, Georgia. Yeah, you got it made down there. I need to head that way myself. I was trying to find a load over to like Tennessee or Georgia from here just to kind of see some new scenery, and we'll see what pops up tomorrow. But anyway, while we got a second, while everybody's typing comments, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, share it on your social media platforms, and make sure you're subscribed. After you subscribe, click that bell for notifications when future videos come out. And I just realized I didn't put the banner up. There's the banner. It'll have my email. It'll have the website again. It'll also have Scott's email if you'd like to know more about coming to work with me over here at SRO Logistics. Y'all have heard me rant and rave about how happy I am here. Several people say they can see it in my demeanor that I smile more. I look less stressed. Anyway, I'm not going to beat on that too much. Just let you know that it's in the comments if that's something that you're interested in. The website has a lot of great information as well, like the headset, how you can get one, save 20%. It's a solar powered headset. It's also got ways you can contact me, contribute to the channel. When we get the Trucker Todd merchandise going, that will also be on that website. That's going to cost me a little money, and so that's why I haven't got that done yet. But it's coming, I guarantee you. And so, yeah, that's the main things. Today, I put a short video on TikTok for the weather I was in while I was parked at a chain up station. So if you follow me on TikTok, go check that out. I'm also on your Instagram, your LinkedIn's, your what else am I on? Your Facebooks and your Twitters, which is now called X, which is just strange to me. I don't get it. But anyway, I don't know why I'm all those places, but I am. Come check them out. Over 50,000 people join me on those sites, and I'd like you to be one of them as well. Ah, this is where I heard it. Channel member Robbie Ross to Anthony Fisher, the electric sign in PA Turnpike said midnight. That's where I heard midnight. So now we know. Yeah, I don't know how late this video will go tonight because I realize a lot of you are in treacherous situations and many of you are going to be watching the replay instead of watching the live. So we still got a decent crowd in here now. As long as we got a decent crowd, we'll keep going or when the comments dry up. But I understand that a lot of you may be commenting on the replay, and that's fine as well. I try to respond to every comment that comes in if I see it. A few of them fall through the cracks. If you ask me a question and I don't see it or I don't reply, shoot me an email at todd@truckertodd.net, and hopefully I'll get to you there. I've got 10 different emails, and I get over 100 emails a day between those 10 emails, and so you can understand how sometimes I can miss something. But I never intentionally ignore people. That's one thing I hated when I was getting started is I would email my favorite YouTuber and they wouldn't respond. And I'm like, man, I took the time to watch their video and they couldn't take 30 seconds to answer my question. Channel member, a trucker named Tim says, hit the thumbs up, folks. Yes, sir. Please do that. I got a speed demon coming through the parking lot now. And guess what? He's going to park right next to me. Maybe. I don't know what he's doing. He may be getting diesel or parking in the fuel island. But I've got this phobia about somebody backing into me and hitting my mirrors. Channel member Ramon, y'all have a good night. We'll be driving soon. Be safe. All right, be safe, Ramon. If you can, please try to catch the replay. Oh, okay. Anthony Fisher says to Robbie Ross that he saw that too about the midnight sign, but Highway 511 in PA said 3 a.m. So maybe different highways have different restrictions. And David Edwards says I. And Michael Cannabis. Oh gosh. I'm just going to say Michael. Says evening, everyone. Good evening, Michael. And P.U. Patel. Evening, Trucker Todd and chat. Hey, P.U. P.U. Patel. Thank you for being here. And my good friend, Miss Mother Trucker, is here. Hope y'all are doing well. Yes, I am. Thank you. I am now a lot better than I was this morning. And I saw a video about a week ago from Miss Mother Trucker. She said freight was starting to pick up at Prime, so that's good to hear. I know a lot of people over there are glad to hear that. I've been wanting to ask Miss Mother Trucker, and I don't know if it's appropriate to ask her on here or not. Have you heard anything from Prime about these new independent contractor laws that are supposed to start in March? How Prime's preparing for that, or what drivers think about it, or anything like that. Being at a small company, there's not really a lot of guys here I can ask, so that's why some of you guys that are and gals that are at the bigger companies, I'm just curious what you're hearing, and I know you've got your kind of pulse on the company at Prime and know a lot about the goings on over there, so I thought you might have an idea. But if you don't feel comfortable answering it on here, I understand. Channel member Robbie Ross. I'm tempted to jump back on the PA Pike for exit 1 after I'm empty. I don't want to drive PA local roads. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. If you're in PA right now, you definitely need to have a plan. Timothy TJ, Trucker Todd, I hope you're staying safe out there. Yeah, last night was a little scary. They had gust, one report said 55-mile-an-hour gust. So you definitely didn't want to be on the road if you had a light load or if you were empty. I had a pretty heavy load and it still shook the truck pretty good. And so that's why I made a decision to just park and tell the broker what was going on and attack it about noon today. And Miss Mother Trucker, Prime has already made it where people from California cannot be lease operators. As far as any other laws, I have no idea. Yeah, there's a new one coming out that basically is a similar type deal going nationwide. And I talked about it in one of my lives a few days ago. I think it starts like March 11th or something, mid-March, let's say. And they're saying that lease purchase guys are going to be in a lot of trouble. And a lot of people in the comments specifically pointed out Prime and Swift and said, oh, those drivers are screwed. So I didn't know if Prime had mentioned it to you as something that they were working on or their legal team was looking at or something like that. I can tell you, similar to what you were saying though about California, Swift had like 12 states they wouldn't hire drivers from, and it was like California, Illinois, New Jersey. Now I'm talking about for lease purchase. You could come on as a company driver, but you weren't going to lease a truck if you lived in one of those states. And so I think that it's probably wise of Prime not to lease to anybody in California. But all right, we're at the 43-minute mark. We've got 46 people watching, which is great, pretty good. And but the comments are dried up. Like I said, I understand tonight. I think it's because of just the roads, and a lot of people are in bad situations. So be safe. I hope you're not watching me while you drive. I hope you're just listening while you drive. And like I say, if there's anything you want to comment on, you can put it in the comments when this video becomes a replay, or you can email me or whatever. But priority one's to be safe out there. So I'm going to take her comment off so y'all can see the truckertodd.net page again. David Edwards, I'm a brand new driver currently in training, had to go from Ohio to Buffalo and back. It was a real experience. I bet it was. The thing to remember, and I don't care what your trainer says, go slow and have a lot of space around you. That's the secret. And don't do anything sudden. Don't put yourself in a situation where you got to slam on the brakes or you got to swerve quickly or something like that. Then from there, manage your speed. Make sure you've got enough speed to get over a hill, but you're not going so fast that you come off the other side out of control. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. I was really fortunate. My dad owned a cotton farm most of my childhood. And so at a very young age, I was pulling gooseneck trailers and cotton trailers, which we'd hook them up like doubles and pull them to the gin. And so my dad would take me to an empty Kmart parking lot, both with a trailer and without a trailer, and teach me how to drive on snow and ice. And he would say, all right, gun it. And he would make me get out of control and then teach me how to steer out of it and things like that. So a lot of people don't get that experience, but by the time I was 10 or 12 years old, I was a pretty good driver. And as young as 7 years old, I was driving in some situations on the farm, not on public roads or nothing, but on back roads and around the farmland and things like that. I knew how to hook up trailers. I was taking cottonseed out to the planters and things like that. I was plowing, but usually it was with a tandem on what they called set aside land, which is land where there's nothing planted on. And so I'm really grateful to my dad for teaching me those things. You know, when you're a kid, you think I'll never use those skills, but then when you're an adult and you see yourself using those skills, you're like, man, I'm glad he taught me that. And yes, it's easier to back a semi truck trailer than it is a cotton trailer because the front axle swivels. Now, gooseneck, it's kind of hit or miss. They're shorter wheelbase, so they move faster on you. You got to watch what you're doing. But uh, a semi trailer is easier to back if you've got the room to do it. Hey, we've got another super chat. Channel member Robbie Ross with the $5 super chat. Football season's over for me. Now I'm a super hockey fan. Let's go Islanders. Yes, sir. That sounds good to me. I like watching hockey. I don't know enough about it to have a favorite team, but to me, it's like a bunch of guys said, let's get together and beat each other with sticks. And so I watch and on ice. And so I like watching them get on ice and fight it out. And if they fight, the refs let them go at it till somebody falls down. So it's kind of fun to watch, I guess. Channel member Jordan B says that Buffalo was a mess earlier. Yeah, and I want to go to Buffalo. I really like going to Buffalo. I would love to get a load up there. And so, but I'm going to wait till the weather's a little better. You can bet on that. How Prime is handling what you're talking about as we lease purchase through Success Leasing. They're not owned by Prime, they're a separate entity. Our insurance is through a separate entity. Yeah, but the way this law works, it don't matter because they're dispatching you. It has 6 criteria, and all of the stuff that would get lease purchase companies legal before doesn't work with this new law. You may want to read it, and then I'd really like to get your opinion on it. They've put some crap in there, and I'm not suggesting it's time to panic because OIDA, ATA, everybody's already said they're going to fight it. So it's going to get tabled when it's supposed to become a law. It's not going to take effect in March, and may not ever take effect in the form it's in. But I was just curious if you had heard anybody around Prime talking about it. David Edwards, farming and fire trucks are my background, and all my defensive driving courses gave me more confidence, but not cockiness. I say the same thing about motorcycles, trucks and motorcycles. You need to be a little bit afraid of both of them. Not so afraid that it paralyzes you, but enough afraid that you respect it. When I hop on a motorcycle, I know that thing can hurt me. So I'm not doing wheelies. I'm not, dashing in and out of traffic. I'm driving it like you're supposed to. Same thing with a truck. I'm pretty confident in a truck. Some people say I'm overconfident, but I have enough respect to know that this truck can hurt me if I don't respect it and treat it right. So I think it's good that you've got a measured level of confidence, but you're not cocky about it either. I remember all the way back in truck driving school, they had a guy there that he'd been driving like a million years. And he said, one day you're going to be driving your truck and something's going to happen and it's going to scare you so bad that you're going to wake up and pay attention. And he said, it's going to be when you think you know it all. And so I try to not get to that point where I think I know it all, because then something's going to wake me up and make me realize I don't know as much as I think I do. It does matter because that's all promised to us is broker. Well, again, I would encourage you to read the criteria because one of the deals on there, and I don't want to go through the whole deal tonight. One of the deals on there is that the company you're leased to you can't be an integral part of their business. And if you're pulling their freight, then you're an integral part of their business. Also, one of the things is I'm trying to think how it worded it. But anyway, yeah, just I don't want to debate you on something you haven't read yet. Read it and then we'll talk about it. Channel member Robbie Ross, you will see an occasional fight here and there, not like years ago, no more goons. I think the problem with hockey and soccer and even baseball is there's just not enough points scored. I think more people would watch and more people would get into it if more points was scored. You know, you have a 3-0 game and they go, oh, it was a blowout. That's all that is all Prime is to us as a broker. That's how they have it set up. Well, we'll see. I hope you're right. I'm not wishing bad. I was just curious what you thought about it. But you really need to read those 6 things. David Edwards, when you stop learning your craft, it's time to think about changing crafts. Yeah, I always had this problem when I worked hourly jobs back in the day when I was young. You know, whatever the cap and pay was, you know, if it's $15 an hour, once you got to $15 an hour, you knew that was the most you could make there unless, you know, they increased the pay rates again or something. And that was real discouraging to me. I liked the challenge of trying to see how much I could make. And I always felt like, you know, I'd hit the ceiling when they said, well, this is the max we pay for your position. And that's part of what drove me to sales is I like commission. I like performance-based jobs. It's also what draws me to trucking. I like that I'm in control of my revenue. I like that there's always room for improvement. I can always improve my fuel economy. I can always take better care of my truck. I can always run better lanes. I can always negotiate better with brokers. I can always deal better with Scott or the company I'm leased to. And so having those things that I can always improve in, and I think right now Scott would like to see me improve in the paperwork department. So knowing that I need to improve in the paperwork department, I'm working on it. And I think the last couple of trips I've done better, but yeah, that's the thing about that. All right, so we're caught up on the comments again. The videos are getting shorter. We're almost at the 1 hour mark. If you got something coming up, let's see. Robbie Ross, channel member, no video last 2 days. Wondering if something is up. Who didn't do any videos? I did my Tuesday one, and tonight's my Thursday one. So I'm up to date. Who are we talking about that hadn't done any videos? Ah, the CEO that we talk about on here. Well, he did one. The last one I saw, I think, was on the 16th, so 2 days ago. Yeah, and it was about a really bad crash that went viral. Which I'm not gonna laugh. I'm not gonna lie. I laughed a little bit. Shouldn't have. Nobody got hurt, but just when you get on there and preach safety, and then you have an accident that goes viral, there's a little bit of humor there. I'm glad nobody was hurt though, and it was only the truck. There weren't any cars involved or nothing like that. P.U. Patel, you need to do some recorded videos, Todd. I agree. And I'm begging each and every one of you. If you've got some ideas for recorded videos, email them to me at todd@truckertodd.net. I would love to do some recorded videos, not .com, it's .net, todd@truckertodd.net. And I'd love to do some. The videos I'd like to do are about this truck and trailer. The problem is when it's snowing and slick and super cold, it's not the best time to do them. And so I'm kind of waiting for the weather to warm up. But if there's a video I can do from the inside of the truck, talk about a subject y'all want or a news story y'all want, I'd be glad to do it. But I need some ideas. I've made well over 400 videos, close to 500 videos. And after a while, you just run out of stuff to talk about. So if y'all got something, email it to me, suggest it to me. And you never know, I may make a video on it here really, really soon. Mud trucking blessings, Trucker Todd. What was the big news you were going to talk about? I come in late, brother. The big news was on the Tuesday show. I opened it up to the viewers. They could come on the show live. They could promote their company. They could promote, um, whatever they want, their YouTube channel. They could debate me on something I've talked about that they thought I had wrong. They could, whatever they wanted to do. And we only had 2 people partake. Fortunately, it was 2 people that did a really great job, and I enjoyed having them on. We'll do it again at some point. We may wait till the weather's a little better. Right now, it's hard because one of the requirements was that they have to be parked before I'd bring them on screen. And right now, people are driving, trying to get to their deliveries in these icy conditions. So a lot of people are just listening while they go down the road. But as soon as the weather gets a little better, we'll probably do it again. And I hope some other people will come in and, talk about whatever they talk about. It was spurred by some people saying that other people are dominating the channel and not letting me talk. It was spurred by people saying that I'll promote certain channels and not other channels, or I'll promote certain companies and not other companies. And so I was just trying to be fair. I turned it into an open forum, and it was a short video, a little over an hour, but I enjoyed doing it. I'd really like to do it again. Roger D talking about the oil field. I think if you get on the finished product side, it's a lot better than the frac side. Probably, but it's still oil field, and I mean they have really big swings in the market. And Odessa looks like a ghost town when the market crashes and businesses are closing and everything. And then it looks like, Vegas or something when the market returns. So I just don't have any desire to do the oil field. I like getting sleep. I like seeing family. I like having a life outside of trucking. I like doing these YouTube videos. That would all come to a stop if Trucker Todd went to the oil field. Pueblo, hello, Mr. Todd. Hello. Thank you for being here. Channel member Robbie Ross actually wanted to mention was smart buying fuel. Posted price was $3.82. My price was $2.79. Saved $115. Yeah, and if you fill up 2 or 3 times a week, that's big money. That's $300 a week. So that's great, man. I always like to hear stories like that. I hope you're using the ES Advantage card that I recommend, because you'll see those kind of savings of over $100. And if you want more information on that card, it's also in the description of this video. Just click on the title. It'll drop down. It'll have a link you can click there. You just fill out a short questionnaire, and they'll give you a call a couple days later and set you up on the card. There's also a Mudflap link there. You can get $10 worth of free fuel. And there's too much stuff to mention on the website and in the description. So just check those out in your spare time if you hadn't done that. But I believe Robbie Ross has already done those things. And Robbie Ross, I talked to the guy that makes the tuggers about you getting one that was Dallas Cowboy colors. And I don't know if he's reached out to you yet or not, but he said he was going to. Trucker Todd, how long do you let your truck warm up before you start your shift? So typically, I would say about 10 minutes, because I do the initial walk around where I check the oil, I walk around, I check the tires, all of that. Then I get in, I crank it up. I've got some computer stuff I've got to do in here, so it's idling during that time. I usually, and putting stuff away in the truck, getting ready to roll. So I would say on average about 10 minutes. And then when I take off, I do it kind of slowly, especially now that I'm in an older, higher mileage truck. I don't, I'm not flooring it going out of the truck stop parking lot like a lot of guys do. Obviously, uh, that's climate dependent too. In Colorado, those numbers are going to be greater than that. In southern Texas, when it's in the 90s, those numbers are going to be less, of course. So it's just it's something or something you learn after you've been out here a long time. Jordan B, channel member, I've done oil field and trucking, and it's not my thing. Plus, beating your truck takes on the lease road. Yep, that's true. Those lease roads are tough on your truck. And in Lubbock, where I live, there's a company that offers a lease purchase, and they've got these white trucks with a coffin sleeper on them. I'm sure some of you know who they are. And nobody ever pays one off because how sporadic the oil field is. So, I mean, you lease the truck for a few months, you lose it, and then you can come back later and lease it again and lose it. And I think maintenance would kill you. And if I did it, I would definitely want to be a company driver, and I would definitely want to know what their breakdown package looked like. Pueblo, any thoughts on Lone Mountain leasing? They're definitely an option. They're going to want you to have, and this is not a criticism, but they want you to have a substantial amount of money in the bank after you make your down payment. So you put 10,000 on a truck, they still want you to have 20 or 30,000 in the bank. And it makes sense for breakdowns, mechanical problems, things like that. They sell new trucks and used trucks. Anytime you get a used truck, it's a crapshoot. It could be a great truck, it could be a turd, but the same's true for a new one. You never know. You could get a lemon as a new one too. So they're not the worst company out there to get a truck from. I'm not sure they're the best either. Um, but I mean, there's different availabilities for different credit situations and different financial situations. If you have to look at yourself, do a little bit of self analysis. How's your credit? How's your finances? It might be that of the options that are available to you, that Lone Mountain's the best option. It might be if you've got better credit or something like that, that there's another option that's better for you. If you've had the tumultuous 2023 I've had, lease purchase might not be the only thing you could do, but it might be the best option. Could I still go out and get a truck on my own? Yeah, probably. But would it be better than what I'm in now? Probably not. And so you just have to kind of weigh all the options that are available to you. All right, let's see here. Robbie Ross, channel member. Okay, no call or text yet. Thank you, sir. That's actually my fault. Let me tell you what happened there. So I sent him your information, your name and your phone number. And he said, all right, I'll give you a call. Well, it fell through the cracks and he called me and he said, hey, I can't find Robbie's phone number. Can you send it to me again? And I said, yes, sir, I'll do that as soon as I get parked tonight. Well, that storm hit last night and I forgot all about it. So I have to apologize. It's my fault. He doesn't have your number because of me. I sent it once and for whatever reason he doesn't have it. And I had told him I'd resend it, and I think he's waiting on me to do that. So I'll do that tonight after the show. Now he's at home time, and as I mentioned, um, he can be hard to get a hold of during home time. So it may be a couple more days before he gets a hold of you, but I'm certain that he will. And he's a good dude. You can trust him. All righty. I think we're caught up on the comments. Has anybody got anything else y'all want to talk about? P.U. Patel. how did you get your loan sorted out on your lease deal with Cordell? I believed you had mentioned it was not a walkaway lease. So right now it's a repo. There's nothing on my credit, but keep in mind they've got time to do that. If they found that it needed additional repairs or something like that, they could be doing that. Sometimes because of the cost associated with it and the bad publicity, a lot of times a loan company won't post it on your credit. So at this point, I don't have any information to share. They haven't reached out to me or contacted me anymore, and I haven't reached out to them or contacted them anymore. And so if I do get some updates or something, I'll let you know. A friend of mine had a truck with them, and his got repossessed too. And he said that nobody had ever put anything on his credit or reached out to him either. So I'm sure they'll just clean it up and resell it. But no, I haven't had any conversations with them. I just I'm at that point in my life where I'm just doing me. I come out here and work, and I do the Trucker Todd thing and make sure that I'm good with SRO logistics, and I don't dwell in the past. I don't worry about what F2F's doing or what Swift or Dart's doing, and or what Cordell is doing. I'm just out here taking care of me and doing my thing. But yeah, if they wanted to call me and have a productive conversation, I'm sure they would do that, but nothing at this point. Wow, you guys, there's a lot of y'all driving and listening tonight. We got 45 here. Pretty good. Ted Van Buskirk. Well, hello, Mr. Todd. Glad to see you. Sorry, I'm late, very busy. How's your friend doing? Is that what's occupying your time? I think about him every day. I hope that you're having some good news. And if you don't want to tell me on here, call me after the show. If I'm not on the phone, I'll talk with you. Usually the day of a show, everybody calls me and says, "Are you having a show tonight?" And my usual answer is, "I don't know. It depends how the day goes." And then after the show, everybody calls me to tell me what they thought of the show. Well, Todd, it was great tonight. It wasn't that good tonight. I fell asleep during it tonight, whatever. And so uh, video days are really tough to get a hold of me. But and I had a guy today that was wanting to do some Trucker Todd business with me. And I figured he was a Monday through Friday guy. And I was like, man, we're going to have to try next week. He's like, what about Saturday? I was like, all right, give me a call Saturday and we'll try. But it depends on where I'm at and what I got going on. I'll try to talk to him. Channel member Robbie Ross. I see F2F is looking for drivers. I see ads on Instagram a lot. Yeah, you would hope on a company that size that word of mouth would keep them from having to do a lot of ads like that. Now, I get why the mega carriers have to do ads like that, but smaller companies, you'd think that because they're able to give the drivers personalized attention, you would think that they would have people calling. They're not a bad place to work. Their trailers are nice. Their people in the office are nice. They're not a bad company. And they're 80-20 split, just like what I'm doing now. I believe my 80-20 split is slightly better because, because some of the stuff that you pay for over there, like ELD and things like that, are covered in my 20% over here. So I believe as a result of that, if I pull a load over there for 250 a mile and I pull a load over here for 250 a mile, I make slightly more here. But still not a bad place to work for sure. Ted says he has good and bad days, but we just keep praying for him. I work 13 to 15 hours a day, and then me and my wife take care of him. Yeah, you're running yourself ragged, man. I hope you'll have a day soon where you can get some rest. Maybe have a day off from work or something like that. And back to Robbie Ross's comment again. I wanted to say one more thing on that, because when I start talking about smaller companies should get word of mouth, um, SRO Logistics and Scott, they do get quite a bit of calls, not just from me doing videos, but from the drivers as well. I think if he were to put out a survey and ask his drivers what they thought of his company, he'd get very high marks. And so I think he does experience that word of mouth and 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 everything, but it's because he's putting out a good product. And that's the point I was making about F2F. It wasn't nothing negative. F2F's putting out a good product too. I just don't know why they're not getting more word of mouth. Maybe they're not pushing it with their drivers. Maybe you know, if I was a recruiter, let me tell you what I'd do if I was a recruiter at F2F. I would get with the operations manager and I would say, who's our 10 best drivers in the company? Well, it's these 10 people right here. And I would call those 10 people and I would say, hey, man, we appreciate the job you're doing. You're one of the best drivers we've got. Do you know any truck drivers that are like you? We're needing a few more drivers. And I would try to get suggestions from them, because I think they've got around 200 and something or 400 and something drivers. And surely they could get some referrals out of that. But that's what I would do if I was a recruiter over there. I think they run into the other problem with F2F. They do have a lease purchase and it's terrible. That's not me saying that. That's the recruiter tells you it's terrible. If you have to do it very temporarily until you can go buy your own truck. But they don't have very many either. Usually they have one or two available. So having your own truck is a barrier to entry for a lot of people, not only at F2F, but I think over here too. A lot of people want to be an owner operator, but they can't get a truck. They need a lease purchase. They don't have the down payment saved up, credit situations, things like that. So, but yeah, I'm going to get off of F2F and SRO now, unless y'all bring me back to it. Ted says that's what his wife tells him too. Well, that's because we're both very smart and we're both very observant, and we see all the hard work you're putting in. Go do something you enjoy doing that's a stress reliever. Go fishing, or take the guns in the backyard and shoot them a few times. Or I enjoy hopping in my pickup and going for a drive. I know that's weird for a truck driver to want to drive more, but I love driving that pickup. My wife's car is also a blast to drive, and so I like driving her car too. Robbie Ross, channel member, have you noticed your take home is better with the investor versus owner operator? Not looking for you to give me numbers, just what you notice. Well, no, I can tell you that my numbers are different, and not necessarily better or worse. My truck payment was higher on the KW, but I paid it directly out of my checking account. My truck payment with the investor is worked out to where Scott takes it out of the settlements. And so my check that goes in the bank is a little less, because the insurance and the truck payment are deducted from my settlement now, being that it's a lease purchase. But as far as end of the month, run the numbers, I haven't been able to do that because I don't want to pick a month where, I was broke down, or I was home excessively, or there was a major holiday like Christmas. So that'll be something I'll be analyzing the first 6 months of this next year and kind of comparing it like that. But I'm doing really good. I really am, without giving the exact numbers. And so I don't have any complaints on pay. That's the deal that a lot of people, you'll see them go to a trucking company and they'll go, they need to pay me more, I'm never, when I was at Swift, I didn't have any complaints about the pay. Roadrunner, I didn't have any complaints about the pay, other than I did feel they were underpaying us for what the market was offering for LTL freight, but I was still making a decent living. Dart, same thing. I made a decent living. I wasn't complaining about the pay. And same thing here at this company. I think the pay is fair. Um, but now I do this sometime, and this is just a little joke between me and Scott. He'll call me and he'll say, "You need anything?" I say, "Yeah, I was thinking maybe a 99-1 split." And he's like, "Yeah, I'll think about it and get back to you." And he's like, "Nope, ain't doing that." And then I'll say, "Well, maybe 95-5." And he'll say, "Well, let me give it some thought." Nah, we're not doing that either. He said, "I really like 80-20." I was like, "All right, I like 80-20 too." So it's just kind of a joke between us. But yeah, in trucking, if you don't like what you're making, you can tweak how your fuel economy, you can tweak how you run your routes, your idle time. There's things you can do to increase your pay without going to your boss and saying, "Hey, you need to pay me more money." Now, sometimes it does get to the point where you do need to go to your boss and ask for more money, and maybe I'll make a video about that sometime, about how to ask your boss for a raise. But really, I read a book on it, and I say read a book. I did an audio book on. It's called How to Be a Shark, and it was by Robert Herjavec, who's a shark on Shark Tank, the TV show. And it's a great book, and he talks about how to negotiate with your boss for a raise. And he says where a lot of people mess up is they go to their boss and they go, "Boss, I need a raise. I got 3 kids at home. My rent is high. I got all these bills. I just can't afford what I'm making here." And he's like, "That's not how you approach your boss for a raise. The way you approach your boss for a raise is you go to him and you say, 'Look, I'm on time every day. Um, I've become really good at this. This is how I help the company. This is how I increase profits within the company. This is what I think has made me a good uh, benefit to the company." And then you negotiate a raise, and you have a number in that mind, and you don't just pull a number out of the air. You look in your area for what somebody else in a comparable position makes, and you negotiate slightly above that. And that's how you do it. And you're not going to get it every time, probably not going to get it most times, but you're going to have a lot better result than telling your boss your personal problems, because it's not his fault your rent's high. It's not his fault that you know you've got um, all those problems in your personal life. And so I think it's a really good technique. And my wife just got a raise at work, and I told her when she got her raise at work, I said, "Get your boss alone and tell him thank you." And she's like, "Why?" And I said, "They would probably like to hear that you appreciate the raise. If you don't say thank you, they're going to be like, 'Why do I pass out raises? Nobody cares anyway.'" And it wasn't a big raise; it was a small raise. But and she did. She went and she got her boss alone. She said, "I just wanted to thank you for that raise." And the boss was like, she'd been doing this for like 20 years. She said, "You're the first person that's ever thanked me for a raise." She said, "You deserve it, and here's why." And she listed all these things that my wife does. You show up on time. You're able to do this. You're able to do that. You're able to work this department. You've helped with training. All these things that my wife did at work, and that my wife didn't even realize they noticed. They's like, "You're always busy. If we're slow, you're not just standing there yakking. You're looking for a way to keep yourself busy working." She's like, "I wanted you to know how much we appreciate you up here." And so do that. If your boss, you know, in at the 1 year anniversary of being with SRO Logistics, I get a 2% raise here. I know that going into it. Still, on the day I'm aware I've got that raise, I'll call Scott and I'll say thank you for the raise. I appreciate it. And because a raise is something that a company does voluntarily, it's not something they have to do. It's not something they're legally required to do. And showing a little gratitude, I'm not saying kiss up, don't kiss up, but just say thank you. I appreciate it. And see See how shocked your boss is when they hear you say that. You truck drivers, if you're a company driver and your boss gives you a new truck, say thank you for the new truck. I appreciate it. Let them know that you appreciate something. Or if they give you a hat or a jacket, a 10-second thank you doesn't hurt you, but it might mean a lot to them when they're hearing drivers gripe and complain all day. I go ride my side by side through the woods. It relaxes me. So I'm good. Just need everyone to pray for Julius. We'll do it. And I wish I had a side by side to ride. Those things look fun. Channel member Robbie Ross, I did get a raise now getting fuel surcharge on empty miles. Yeah. And even in that situation, since I know that you have contact with the CEO and with, oh, what's his name? His right hand man. I can't think of his name right now. You know who I'm talking about. Uh, Shoot them an email. I wouldn't call them, they're busy, and just say thank you for adjusting the fuel surcharge. The market's tough right now, and we appreciate any help you can provide. And they're going to be a lot more receptive to that than they are a bunch of drivers sitting around going, well, they only gave us that. They're making a killing. They could have gave us this and should have gave us that. And well, my truck payment's still too high, and we already get a better fuel discount. Instead of being that driver that's griping, just say, hey man, I appreciate that paying fuel surcharge on the empty miles. I know you didn't have to do it. I appreciate you doing it. I know it was hard for you to do in this market when things are tight, but I appreciate it. And watch how shocked they are, especially if you can do it in person or on the phone. Watch how much it shocks your boss or whoever you're contracted to just by showing gratitude and saying thank you. Ted says, if you ever get in my area, we'll go riding. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'd love that, man. Yeah, Russell Freight says he also gets a fuel surcharge on his empty miles. For those that don't know, let me go ahead and say this for Russell and Robbie Ross. I know some of you are thinking, well, what's the big deal? Usually a fuel surcharge is just paid on your loaded miles. It definitely is only paid that way. Well, we won't even talk about brokers. That's a whole nother can of worms. But when a company decides to pay you practical miles, or when they decide to pay you fuel surcharge on your empty miles, it's tantamount to a raise. Now, depending on how much deadhead you get with your company, the average is like 10%. That's like a 10% raise. Well, maybe not because it's only on the fuel surcharge, but you get what I'm saying. Same thing with practical miles. Usually, the household movers guide is off 8 to 10%, sometimes more. And so if you get practical miles, you're usually a lot closer on your mileage. So if you're on a mileage pay scale, it is a lot more uh, accurate and a little more money in your pocket. Doing what I'm doing, the brokers, they don't care about none of that. It's what are you going to charge us to haul it? And you have to figure out what your rate is and how much you need to make. There's different strategies. Some people do it on a revenue per day type deal where they go, I need to make X number of dollars a day. A lot of guys do it on a rate per mile. I need to make so much per mile. The problem with the rate per mile model though is what if it's only a 200-mile day? If your rate per mile is $3, but you only do 200 miles a day, that's $600. So you've got to maybe on certain situations, or actually in a lot of situations, doing the rate per day is better. But same thing, rate per day, you get 1,200 per day. But if you doing 750 or 700 miles a day, that's not great either. And Robbie Ross, channel member, says last 2 weeks fuel surcharge has been 38 cents. That doesn't sound terrible because I know the company where y'all are at has a pretty good fuel discount. and fuel prices have come down. They always do right before an election. And so, yeah, that's great. Swift always had the highest fuel surcharge I ever saw. And I don't know what theirs is this week. Russell says we still get fuel surcharge on loaded miles as well. It helps. Yeah, it's a big help, but you're already getting that on the loaded miles. So that's not a raise. That's just a carryover of what you're already getting. But if you're maximizing your fuel economy, you can actually profit off of the fuel surcharge. And I did that at Swift on a pretty regular basis. And you say, well, what do you mean? Fuel surcharge, say you're getting 38 cents a mile fuel surcharge. You run, let's say 2,000 miles a week. That'd be 38, $760 for 1,000 miles. If you spent less than $760 on fuel for that 1,000 miles, then your fuel surcharge made you money. And I've argued this with guys and had so many people have the hardest time understanding this. But same thing though, if you're getting 3 miles a gallon, your fuel surcharge isn't sufficient enough a lot of times. I got something on the floor here. All righty. Let's see what we got here. Russell Freight says he's on his way to North Dakota. What's the weather supposed to be like in North Dakota? Have you checked it out, or are you going to fly on a wing and a prayer? Channel member Robbie Ross, I'm hoping things don't get crazy in the Red Sea. If a tanker goes down, it's going to go crazy on fuel prices. Well, and I'm going to try not to get too political here, but it's already crazy in the Red Sea. And the current administration is apprehensive about getting aggressive. And the people we're dealing with over there, that's all they understand is aggression. If we made a good example out of one of them the next time they tried something, that would fix that. Ronald Reagan, I'm trying to remember the exact number because somebody's going to get me for this, but Iran, he wiped out like half of their military because they did something, and then they chilled out after that. And that's what you got to do. Iran is behind all of this, and we just need to hit them one time really hard, and they'll leave us alone. But if we act like we're scared or we don't want to upset this country or that country, then they're more emboldened to do stuff like that. Russell says that on his way to North Dakota, it's clear and 7 degrees. I can live with cold, I guess, as long as it's not blizzard conditions or nothing like that. I'm hoping to stretch my legs out of here. I would, even if I take a little less money on it, I would just like to get in a different part of the country. But we'll see what happens. I say that, and then I see a good paying load, and I'm like, nah, I'm doing that. All right, there's the website again. Y'all make sure you read that ticker and get all that information out as well. We'll give it a few minutes. We are at the hour and a half mark. If y'all got anything else, we'll keep it going. If not, I'll check out of here. And thanks to this truck stop closing at 5 o'clock, I'm probably going to have to order some DoorDash or something. My microwave went out in the truck. My TV went out in the truck. So I didn't buy a microwave yet, but I've been trying to find a Walmart I can get into. My TV, I took the other one because this truck came with a TV, a nice 32-inch. I took it out and put it in the shop so I can hopefully work with it later. And I put my one from my KW in here, which is like a 22-inch or something. It's a lot smaller. But that's okay. I don't have a lot of time to watch TV anyway or play video games. I hadn't turned my video game systems on in weeks. So I need to take my advice that I gave Ted and just take a day off, turn the phones off, and relax. But speaking of that, we don't have nothing else here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. We got another good comment from channel member Shane Lee. Says, be safe out there, Todd. Weather's messy out there. Yes, sir. That's great advice for all of us. Ted also thinks I need a break today. So I'm going to take everybody's advice and check out of here. Thank y'all for joining me. We'll see you Tuesday night. Give me some recorded videos ideas. I'd love to do one for y'all, especially you channel members, but I try to get one for everybody. So, all right, I've rambled long enough. I'll see y'all. Bye.